celebration because that's typically when they're scheduled. We also keep in mind the annual Council of Great City Schools Conference in October, as the board's typically attended that, so we keep that week open. We've also looked at the May. I know the trustees have requested as much information in advance, so we put on there this time. The next 2 years, we put the final budget meeting so that you can plan accordingly and have that information in advance. And then the other factor we look at is the 25-26 school calendar for staff. And then I looked at the proposed 26-27, 27-28 school calendars that were on the previous agenda, just to make sure that we didn't have any conflicts. So the goal is we typically bring this back to the board just to make sure that the schedule is still at the board's pleasure. And then once the board approves, we'll post this online. Do keep in mind that we have the board committees that build their schedules around the board meeting calendar. For example, AZAC will look at board and bond oversight will look at when board meetings are. They try to do it opposite, just so that the boardrooms, you know, if they go longer, they have space, and then other events as well. So it's just a planning piece. We try to bring this back about this time every year. So with that said, if there's any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the trustees? Okay, and I didn't see anybody for public comment, and I will entertain a motion for item 2.02. Trustee Johnson.
A motion to approve both calendars.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the 2026 and 2027 board meeting calendars. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. I will second the motion to approve 2.02, adoption of the 2026 and 2027 board meeting calendars.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. If you could please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. Moving on to agenda item 2.03. This is not an action item. This is a report from our trustees who attended the National School Board Association annual conference. I'll turn it over to Vice President Zamora, Trustee Henry, and Trustee Johnson.
I guess I'm talking to colleagues and not necessarily to the crowd out there, but I guess I can talk to the crowd as well. So I'll do my best to share with everybody. Trustee Henry, Vice President Zamora, and I had the opportunity to travel to Atlanta in early April to attend the National Association of School Boards Conference. It was my second time attending the conference. We went to the one, so trustees, Vice President Zamora and I went to the conference a year ago in New Orleans. And, you know, that first time I was just trying to kind of understand what all of this was and trying to figure out, you know, how to make meaning of so many school boards from around the country, and then how to figure out what's the best way to kind of drive my learning. This year was actually a lot better experience for me because I had the opportunity to focus in on two areas of learning in particular. One was a community engagement, which is one of the things we spent a lot of time talking about, at least initially, and I spent a lot of time independently thinking about it. And then the second was partnership with our superintendent and then their administration. And so all of the sessions that I attended were centered around those. There were 6 sessions in particular: building bridges between the board and community, creating the conditions for family, school, community partnerships, a collaborative partnership, building, monitoring, maintaining family community engagement, the importance of board superintendent communication, board superintendents in the power of transformational leadership, and then building best practices for effective collaboration between boards and administration. So again, really focusing my learning on 2 areas I think I could grow the most in it and be able to, you know, provide some additional value while I'm doing my work here. It was really interesting to hear how other boards, large and small. So what I found to be most interesting was that not every board does it the same, and even in places. So there were really small boards that, you know, I took some learnings from, while, you know, some of the school boards were like, yeah, we have, you know, we're a school board of 5, and, you know, we oversee 1 school in a really small space, really small place. While their structure, while their community is different than ours, the structure is what I learned from it. So it was really interesting to hear how different places do it. So I think there were things that we could adopt here. And so my hope is that from the notes that we have, we can begin to use some of those after we've gotten our strategic plan in place and we really have our clear vision and direction, we can start to implement some of those structures that we want. I think the first step, the most important step, is having a really clear vision for what we all want to accomplish, and then we can start building out some of the structures. So it was good learning. It was great to be able to understand that. And then I'm really excited for us to work together to move to some of those more collaborative spaces. And before I turn over to Trustee Henry and Trustee Zamora, I really wanted to highlight the keynote speaker that was there, or at least on the Saturday that I was there. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm gonna butcher it a bit. So I'll spell it. First name was Robbie, last name spelled Hutheesing. But he had this really unique life story. So he played drums for the Hansons. It's like he was a rock singer, and then his parents was family lineage was his great grandfather was the first Indian prime minister. So he had this long lineage of both unique experiences, and he talked about how children today need to be ready for the pivot, which I thought was incredibly important. So talking to board members about how we can prepare students to be able to pivot, because what we are helping children learn today won't be the same as what they have to deal with in 5 years. And so how we can be forward thinking enough to create the systems and structures that schools have to implement in order for students to be successful. So it was a really inspiring talk. I left feeling energized. The one thing that he said that continues to stick with me today, and I don't know if this is right to say out loud, but he said it in front of 1,000 people, so I'll say it in front of 150. He said we need to figure out a way to make peace profitable, and that really, really resonated with me, because he said, for the longest time, a conflict has been very profitable. And you think about how much it costs to make bombs and bullets, and somebody wins when they make those. But we've not found a way to make peace profitable. And said, charge us with, can we help our students think about the way to make peace profitable so that we have enduring peace on our planet versus what we see today, which is oftentimes enduring conflict.
Trustees, Vice President Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to age myself, not how usually people expect it, but I learned about the Bacon Brothers. They actually had a very inspirational story too, and how they grew up with their mom, who was an educator. So they had an interesting story to share, and then they played some music, and I remembered the beat somehow. But I attended, so this year I was able to kind of narrow down on their app and narrow it down with leaders, like the government leaders. So I can really focus on how to be a better vice president, right, and improve my skills. And then one of the things we spoke of, one of the workshops to this was about how to communicate, effective communication with the superintendent. And it's really interesting that we are one of the few boards that really have to follow open meeting law, because there are so many great ideas out there that I wish we can do, and we are not able to do it because of open meeting law. But I'm still sitting with how can we still implement some of these ideas. So for example, there's some districts that have a running document, and it has kind of the updates from the executive cabinet. They're able to go in there, put updates in there. All the trustees are able to see in updates as they're coming in. They have the superintendent's calendar, what schools they're visiting, kind of what to expect, where to see them, and some news articles that gets attached to it. So if I have time middle of the night and I want to look at this document, I'm able to get a good grasp of the district as a whole, which I found really interesting. And I might have to throw it to John, how can we implement something similar, because we all have day-to-day jobs, right? So how can we still all be open and communicating on top of the briefings we have and all these other communications? The other thing that I attended was actually the workshop was called Classrooms, Not Courtrooms. And we are one of the few districts that have our own police department as well. So I was interested in seeing what police departments are putting their resources in to help our students, not just, do the classroom to prison pipeline. And they actually do work with their police department on how to get them in the program in collaboration with the district to kind of remove their citations they might have. And it becomes a whole community effort, because they bring the parents in, they're able to bring siblings in if they're setting a bad example. And that resonated a lot with me because I've been able to participate in ERBs. I don't know if I can share that. But one of our roles as trustees is to participate in exposure review boards. And some of the stories we hear there's a lot of interventions that I feel like can happen before we get to that point, right? So this program was really interesting to get a glimpse of, and I know I'm taking so much time, but it was really good. And I thank the president and the members that did go because it's really enriching information that we do receive and different points of views. And it's always grounding. I want to say that word. It's grounding to know that we are loved, Clark County specifically, we're loved like the museum kind of piece because when people find out how big our district is, we definitely get all eyes on us. And we are moving, I personally move in those spaces of I'm going to listen. I don't want to share where I'm from because then everybody's like, how do you maneuver through that, right? I want in all the information I can from other smaller districts, and then I get to listen to everyone. So yeah, thank you. I'm very grateful. It's very grounding.
Thank you. Board Clerk Henry, please.
Thank you so much. Was thankful for the opportunity to attend the conference. I was trying to get into my app because I did collect a lot of notes there, but I cannot access my app. But it's okay. It's okay. This is, my first time serving on the board, and it was important for me to find those tracks that were for new board members, especially around transformational leadership. I've served on many boards before, and also just working alongside our board members and not micromanaging our superintendent. That was something that was just really important to me. Just learning what things are operational, although we go through that here daily, hearing it on a national level and from other board members on how they truly implement that was really important to me. I cannot remember her name, but I met a board member from Mississippi who has served on her board for nearly 30 years, which was like, whoa, like that can happen, like that can happen. And she's also an educator at a neighboring county. So it's like listening to her and her experiences and her stories, and also her being the only African American on her board, and also assuming that role after her father had held that role for many years, and he passed away. What legacy? That was something that really stood out. What legacy? The dedication to be an educator, but also serve on the board for so many years in a neighboring district. It was truly inspirational. I'll say that. And so the words that she did share with me is, come here, learn all that you can, but also go home and make sure that you implement that, be the model. And she did say, support your superintendent. So it was very timely. It was very timely, and again, thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda item 2.03. We're going to go ahead and move. Oh, Trustee Cavazos, did you want to add something?
I just wanted to thank our three colleagues for their most excellent report. That was a conference that I wasn't able to go to this year, but your reports really helped, and each of you had a very diverse perspective on what you experienced and what you took away. So I just wanted to thank you for that. It was really good.
Thank you.
It's still not ready.
Thank you. With that, we're gonna move on to agenda item 2.04, balanced governance professional training. And that is mine. I'll ask my other colleagues if they want to chime in afterwards, but I do want to let the public know that in January, this team made a decision and it was unanimous. And we adopted the balanced governance model as our guiding framework of how we're going to govern ourselves and govern the school district. And this was a pivotal moment for us to have that collective commitment for excellence, accountability, and improved student outcomes. And then last Friday, on May 2nd, we held our second balanced governance training session facilitated by Dr. Alsbury, who is a nationally recognized expert in school board governance. And I want to extend a sincere gratitude to each trustee and the staff member who invested their time and energy to make this happen. What was pivotal for us on that Friday is that we became a team of 12 since we hired our new superintendent last month. And so no longer were we just looking at ourselves, but now looking at our CEO of the school district, and Superintendent Ebert got to participate with us. And so in this short time, it's been over 100 days, but we continue as a team to make the commitment to this work, and we're already yielding growth. I've heard so many comments from the community stakeholders and saying, I can see that this team is moving forward. It is small steps. It is going to take several more to turn the ship, but we are moving in the right direction. And I'm really, really pleased with the cohesiveness, the focus, and our eagerness to learn about the governance policy. Some of the training covered critical components in our journey to become a highly effective board, including parliamentary procedure practice. And Trustee Cavazos mentioned that we gained a deeper understanding of how to follow the foundation operation us acting as a representative voice and a delegate of the stakeholder interests. And we held conversations to reinforce our responsibility to lead with the vision while maintaining appropriate boundaries. And then the last thing we had discussions on agenda development, social media use, school visits, official representation, and communication protocols. These guidelines will help us to operate transparently, professionally, and consistently. And so just pleased in the work that we're doing. Like I said, it's a little over 100 days, and as a new team, very proud of the progress that we are making step by step. So in closing, I want to reiterate my appreciation also to the superintendent who joined us, and now we are a team of 12, like I said. And I want to use the word intentionality. We are being intentional in how we govern and how we hold ourselves accountable. And I'm looking forward to the steps that are going to come for the second quarter and the third quarter, and look forward to making sure that the students are at the top of our priority. The staff and the community can be proud of the work that we're doing. So thank you to each of the team members. Does anybody else like to add any comments? Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for the comprehensive summary, of everything that we worked on. I think that you really gave a good overview. I wanted to emphasize something, and as you said, Dr. Alsbury, he is the only research-based expert on balanced governance. I mean, he is balanced governance. And one of the things that he emphasized as we were going through all of our different exercises is transparency and accountability. he emphasized that we must know our policies. If we don't know our policies, we cannot have oversight. If we don't have oversight, then it's hard for us to interact with our superintendent that's trying to do her job with, I don't know what our exact enrollment is right now, but with a lot of schools and a lot of employees. And so he was very direct about that. And I think that's something that all of us, we have to look deep within us because we have a hard job, but we asked to be in this job. So to be in this job, we need to know our policies, we need to do our homework, and we need to be there for the people who elected or appointed us. And so I'm just so happy that we have that agreement with Dr. Alsbury and that we're going to be moving forward with looking at the policies that are working for us and the policies that might maybe just need a little bit of tweaking that we need to revise. And I know a lot of trustees are heavily invested in that. So thank you again, Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Biassadi?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to add that, and I wanted to commend you as president. I think you've done a phenomenal job in having us all engaged and feeling that each one of us matters and our voices matters. And you bring our views and our opinions to the forefront for every issue and topic. So I really appreciate that. And I just want to say I learned a lot. And it was very insightful. It was just a very growing moment. I felt like I really grew in it, so I was grateful for the training.
Thank you. Any other trustee? I do just want to tell the public, so for the first 100 and something days, we have learned some habits that aren't necessarily balanced governance, and it is going to be a step for us to be mature and learn how to abide by the policies, right? And it's a grace, but also a firmness that we need to apply to ourselves so that we can be the best that we can be for our new superintendent, because she needs us as a team to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable. And so it's a good journey, sometimes very painful, but we have accepted the responsibility in January when we made a unanimous decision that this is how we were going to govern. So thank you. It's not an action item. I'll move to 3.01, public comment. I do have, before I open that up, is there anyone that has not completed a public comment card? If not, I see Ms. Binder has signed up. If you would please come forth.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Evers. I just love saying that. I mean, I've said it many times over the years, just not in this room. Anna Binder for the record. So I also have been out on YouTube watching other districts. And I kind of actually started doing that after we hired Eber. And it wasn't that I haven't seen some across the country over the years, because there's been other projects that you guys have. Mr. Caruso go back and find stuff, you know, in comparable settings and whatnot. But I just really want to say publicly, y'all dodged a bullet. Could you imagine sitting here during your conversation, and when you turn to your superintendent for comment, they just sit there and go, I love you guys. I just really love you guys. You know I love you. Because that's what Ben Schuldner does to his board.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other public comment, I'm going to move on to 4.0, which is upcoming meeting announcements. The next meeting of the Board of Trustees is tomorrow, Thursday, May 8th at 5 p.m. here in the boardroom. Now I'm going to move to agenda item number 5.0, accept a motion to adjourn the meeting. Trustee Esparza-Strachan.
I know we're a little more informal. I will make a motion, but I would like to acknowledge that we have our new deputies in the space. So welcome Dr. Jesse Welch and welcome Felicia Gonzalez. It is their first, I believe, work session. I just want to acknowledge them in the space, and we may relocate some people in the future.
Thank you. Yes.
So the motion will be made to adjourn this meeting at, hold on, hold eyes, at 5:28.
All right, I have a first, Trustee Henry.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second to adjourn the meeting. Please cast your votes. That passes 7-0. The meeting is adjourned.